everybody, I'm Amy, this is my wife Maggie,
Hello.
and together we are ThinkerThemer, and look what has arrived on our doorstep today.
Wow.
It is Ticket to Ride, Legends of the West, the Legacy edition of Ticket to Ride. Literally just arrived. It's still in shrink. In fact, we are going to remove the shrink as we're talking to you. But why do we have this, Maggie?
Yeah, well, you know, Ticket to Ride is probably one of the most, if not the most famous gateway game into the board gaming hobby. And because of that, it tends to be on the lighter side. So we probably, we tend to play the kind of heavier, bigger, more Euro-y type games. But this was actually one of the games that we played when we were getting into the hobby. So this was one of the, one of the gateways. It wasn't necessarily the main one. I think, the people that were introducing us into the world of this wonderful hobby,
we're like, also, you need to try this one. And so we did. And this game came out in the original Ticket to Ride. I think it was Game of the Year, won the Spiel des Jahres in 2004.
That's a long time.
20 years
ago, yeah.
20 years ago. But this one is the first time that since that original edition where it has caught my eye and I'm like, I am interested to play it. And I'll tell you why. It's the designers behind it. So yes, it involves Alan Moon, who was the original designer of Ticket to Ride, which is great. Yeah. He's, of course, been involved in this. But it also involves Rob DeVal and Matt Leacock. And if you don't know who they are, well, they are the designers of the Pandemic Legacy series. And that
another
really
huge game that brings a lot of people into the hobby as well. So.
Yeah, but Pandemic Legacy was really that first groundswell of this is how amazing a legacy game can be, with this amazing campaign, all these components that were hidden in the box, and it just had such groundswell around this idea of legacy.
Well, this concept of a game evolving over time and over multiple
and
plays.
breaking stuff and ripping stuff up and throwing it away.
Permanently changing the way a board looks or the way something, which can be very tricky and confronting for a lot of, people, because what? But it's my game. You don't do that to a game. It's like, no, you're meant to with this one. And then at the end of it, ending up with your own sort of unique version of that.
I like Rob DeVal has also been very heavily involved with Risk Legacy, but also Betrayal Legacy, which is a game that we did play all the way through, and we really enjoyed all the twists and turns that had in store. So, long story short, we don't actually own Ticket to Ride.
No.
But this edition, we were so excited to have the opportunity to cover it and to check it out for you all and give you our opinions of it, because it's just such a force of design.
Yeah. Well,
it's a design extravaganza.
It's a classic that now is going to take us on a whole journey.
Oh, I hope it will.
I hope it will as well. Or that's the promise that it better deliver on.
So what we're going to do today, we can't do that much, unfortunately. We wanted to create a video to show you as, we're starting to learn a bit more about the game. Just a little bit of an introduction video. We are under embargo, so we can't talk about the game content. Anyway, as you can see, we haven't opened it. But we will be playing a lot of this. We want to play it all the way through, and then we will, of course, give you our full review in late September. So they've given us...
show a little bit today.
We can show a little bit today.
Let's show a little bit.
But they've given us that long embargo period so that we can fully experience the game, which I actually appreciate. Embargoes are great because you know exactly how much time you have and you can take your time with it. You can explore all of the parts of the game. There's no everyone racing to put out videos and all of that jazz. So I am really looking forward to getting into it. So why don't we de-shrink it?
Okay, let's do this.
I'll let Maggie do all the hard work.
This is like a one-take thing. There's no take backsies.
Don't swear while you're doing it.
Is there a good way to de-shrink a game? Is there a right way to de-shrink a game?
No, just rip in.
I enjoy when it sort of can kind of go along the edge.
Seam.
Yeah, because it didn't do it. It didn't.
No.
Oh, it didn't. Oh,
I'm not about that. I'm about Christmas present style. Just unwrap it. This is so exciting.
I'm usually just running behind, trying to pack everything out. And he was like, "No, stop! Just leave it. I want to live in amongst the mess. It's part of the celebration." So wrap this out.
It is de-shrinked. And so I want to talk about the artwork first of all, because as you can see, how would I describe this artwork? I would describe it as very Ticket to Ride.
Very reminiscent of Ticket to Ride. Yes.
The original.
Yes.
And I kind of like that about it because I would hate if they tried to make it super, super modern.
Okay, yeah.
And I think fans of the game would hate that as well. If they completely took it and modernized it and gave it this fresh
with the
new look.
nostalgia of like, you know, what's the what's the classic feel?
Yeah, so fans are going to be able to identify it, see it immediately. The size of the box will probably give away that it's
This is already bursting at
Legends
the
of
seam.
the
Like, this
West.
is already like wanting to come undone. Like, what? How much stuff is in this?
There's a lot of stuff. Also, it's upside down in the back. But what we're going to do is, artwork, I like it because it's just got that classic look and feel to it.
Okay.
But we're going to put this down flat probably now and turn it around.
Yeah, look, there's good stuff in there. It's already wanting to like expand.
And you can already see there's a sneak peek of some of the boxes that are located inside. We're not allowed to open any of those on camera, unfortunately. But the story is interesting as well because it's not the same story as the original. Obviously, this is Legends of the West.
Yeah, exactly. So the original, it was all about, you know, all these sort of like 5 friends kind of competing for who can get the most coverage across, is it 7 days?
7 days to go to as many locations. Just, I don't know if it plays
for
out
$1 million.
thematically.
What was the prize? It's like some kind of, it's like irrelevant. You just like, when you're playing, you're just kind of playing.
I actually didn't know that until I went back and read the theme.
It's like, I didn't even know that was the theme. I was like, oh, it's a train.
It doesn't shine through in the mechanics of the game.
Ultimately feels like, I think the thing that always kind of that stands out of my mind is like the destination. So it's like, oh, I'm going from Kansas to here, from there.
Yeah.
So that's but the whole other meta story never really came through for me. But this is different.
Very different.
This is different. So in this one, there's a couple of things. So obviously it takes place in the late 19th century in America, where there's all this sort of new trains companies
have appeared, and trains are shipping stuff everywhere.
Yep.
Not just people, but food,
merchants,
and goods. Things are happening. And basically, rail people are getting very, very rich, including...
Well, there's a sort of seemingly protagonist here, which is I believe it's a fictional character. It's not an actual historical character. Thaddeus Reeves.
We'll call him Mr. Reeves.
A young entrepreneur dreaming of connecting the entire nation and succeeding.
Look, he has set up a company called Reeves Rails. This is what's happened. And he is very wealthy and very successful, and you have been paying attention to this. Now, there is a line, so it says, basically, Reeves Rails is very successful. Then it says, but greedy rail barons are looking at Thaddeus's growing rail empire and thinking about how they can take it away. And you're like, oh no, poor Mr. Reeves, we must be playing as Mr. Reeves. No. The rail barons are after Mr. Reeves, but then it goes on to say, as the years have rolled along, Reeves Rails has continued to grow and thrive. So clearly, I don't know, he's been fine. The barons are leaving him alone. And now introduce you. So your new train company, us, are ready to take part in this remarkable industry. So what we've done is we've purchased some steam engines.
Yes.
And we've got a new express network.
Yes. And we're very satisfied with ourselves. We haven't done anything. We've just sort of...
And then it says...
we've got the trains and we seem to be pretty happy with it.
Yeah, because then it says, satisfied, comma. Mm-hmm. And so Maggie and I were trying to infer what we were satisfied about.
What are we satisfied with?
I guess we're satisfied that we're now where it's happening and where it's at. We've got some trains.
Yeah, we've got some trains.
Yes. And then it says, satisfied, comma. You open the newspaper and read the headlines from out west, ...
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was like, so if we're not, Mr. Reeves, are we the barons? Are we the, or is Mr. Reeves maybe going to be like our mentor?
Is Mr. Reeves even in the game? I'm not sure.
Maybe how many years after Mr. Reeves set this whole thing up?
He was very successful. The barons were very threatening. We decided to join in the party. And now I believe the barons are coming after us.
Well, we don't actually know if they were threatening. They were greedy, so they're obviously wanting in on the action. But
I don't know.
We'll see.
I mean, maybe Reeves Rails has a lot to give away. It sounds like they have a monopoly on the train system.
Competition is a healthy thing. So, so let's have a look. So then we're now going to be... Okay, so the promise of this... The setup is that it's still going to be as easy to play, like to learn to play, as you'd known Ticket to Ride to be. Probably, my guess
easier to understand than the overarching theme of the game.
Well, it's not that it's I don't understand. It's like, did it come through? It's more of a then.
No, I mean the new one.
Oh, the new one.
It's a little bit patchy
no
from the back
idea.
of the box.
Yeah, no idea who we actually are. That's probably going to become clear.
I mean, they're trying not to give too much away on the box.
Exactly.
Slash anything.
And so this is going to be played. So the full legacy is over 12 games.
12 games, yep.
And so
games.
as we go through different games, obviously, I imagine they're going to, do that classic thing where we're going to be adding complexity and adding rules, changing the way things kind of work, and adding changing the state of things, and eventually, obviously, going through this incredible journey and leading to having a final version that is obviously unique to what our journey was.
Yes.
Yeah?
That you can go back
and replay.
And play again.
So in that would then become your copy of your Ticket to Ride.
Not the entire thing, just the final copy will be replayable. And they made a point of saying that it will be replayable.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because it's a lot of money to spend on a game, and also it's very wasteful to throw out a game.
It's just like a one and done, and you can't
not very good for the environment. Yeah. So we will end up with a personalized copy of Ticket to Ride with all the choices that we made along the way, and then we'll be able to play with that.
Yeah.
I personally don't play a lot through legacy games once I've finished them, but that's just maybe because we move on to a lot of games.
And it's probably with us, it's like this, it's a partly, there's always so many games that we're wanting to discover.
Always so many games.
And so,
What a horrible problem to have.
So far, from looking at the back of the box, a lot of things look very reminiscent. So it's very Ticket to Ride, sort of like, we've got all our different lines. And
now, I want to point something out about this box.
Yeah.
And what it doesn't say on the box, but what it does say on BGG, or was it the website? One of the two. I think it's BGG. So it shows the East Coast on the box. And on BGG, it did say that the journey that you were taking, whether you are Mr. Reeves or competing with Mr. Reeves,
we're going through a bit of an identity crisis at the moment. We don't know who we are.
Whoever we are, whatever
what
our
are we
goal
here
is.
for? We know we've got some trains.
Yep.
And we want in on the action.
We do. So
are we the Barons?
Apparently.
Oh my goodness, are we the Barons? Are we the bad guys?
We could be.
I don't even know if the Barons are bad.
I don't know, maybe that's the twist ending that you've just ruined, which we didn't know about because we haven't opened the shrink.
Exactly.
But basically,
an official spoiler.
I'm trying to finish my sentence, please. On BGG, it says that you start on the East Coast and you're going to move over to the West Coast. Yes. And so I'm wondering if the map itself actually evolves. And again, I don't know, we haven't opened the box, have no idea if that's true, but that's just looking at the box and remembering what it said on BGG. That is what I'm thinking. Yeah. Anyway, we've made enough of just looking at the box. Let's open the box up and see. All right. Now we're going to turn it around again.
Turn it around.
Turn it around. All right. So let's open. Open this box.
Oh, yeah. Good.
I
have to say, I actually enjoy the. Look, we've got coins. We've got some coins right off the bat. I enjoy the diversity, like you can see, in the artwork and the people that are being represented.
Yeah,
so
that's really nice. Well, look at that. We've got some cardboard coins.
Ooh,
so we're gonna have to punch those later. Now this is interesting. This is the first layer of the box, and I can already see that maybe that hypothesis about the board coming together, because it looks like it's in like puzzle pieces.
It does look like a modular board, but maybe it's just modular and you're putting the whole thing together from the start.
It absolutely could be. Maybe it's just because it won't fit in this box any other way.
Although I think you probably, if it was just going to be square, like I think you
fold it, wouldn't they?
I think there may be something to your potential theory.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're allowed to open the main box.
What if things evolve over time? So it's like not just like you're adding to it, but it's like something might be completely different if something happens.
Oh, like you swap out different pieces.
Yeah,
of
like
the
an
board.
event, or an event might happen that then changes the shape of something, or
maybe. But we're not allowed to look into this piece, so we're allowed to open the main box, but we're not allowed to show these components. So we'll just move into the next layer.
That was heavier than I anticipated, which is another interesting sort of thing. There you go.
Okay, so this is interesting. Now we see inside the main box, and there are many things here that we're not allowed to show, including this whole part of the box, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, what have we taken out? We've just taken out the rule book. And now this is interesting. I think this is the 5 player colors.
Yeah, player colors. So these are probably going to be our individual companies.
Our individual companies. So we are playing as individual companies. We are not Mr. Reeves.
No.
We are not the Baron, potentially.
Are we franchises of Mr. mysteries. We don't know. We don't know. And these
are
are
we
the trains.
Offspring of mysteries? Maybe
we don't know. We don't know. These are the trains. So I'm just going to take out, I'm imagining this is just this spare one. So these are obviously all the individual trains. I actually quite like the sound of the trains clinking against one another.
Yes.
But yeah, so these are all your little trains.
Maybe
so let's
have
a look.
I'm
just going to take one of each just so we can have a look and see the detail.
And speaking of trains, what I did notice from the component list, just looking at the component list, this game has 280 trains in it. Now, I believe the original, even with the spares, has 240. And it's still a 5-player game. So that has me wondering, what are the extra trains?
There's 40 mystery trains.
There's 40 mystery trains. Is it the Barons?
Is it the Barons? Is it Mr. Reeves?
Is it Mr. Reeves?
Is it something else?
Are we going to get really rich and then have more trains?
Oh, that could also happen. Yeah.
More trains.
So let's have a look at these trains. So it's interesting because they all kind of give me different feels for different types of train, and I don't know if or different parts of a train.
They're all different molds.
Yeah. So this green one is more like almost like a freight train. You know, sort of got all those containers. This kind of reminds me of like a steam engine type train. These ones give me more like passenger sort of carrying trains, and this one reminds me of our we have I don't know if it's still around, a restaurant tram in Melbourne that is red as well, but it's very reminiscent to that. So so they all kind of have their own little thing.
And I think that whole conversation just revealed how much Maggie knows about trains.
That's my extent of knowledge of trains.
Me either, but I like your attempt to explain the different types of trains. Everyone else is probably watching being like, that's
cringe. That's not at all what that is. And that's fair.
So we can see there's some other secret boxes which we're not allowed to get into, unfortunately. But I'm excited to see what's in here. And one thing I've been thinking a lot about is the number of different expansions and versions of this game that have happened along the way, because I think the official number on BGG is 162 expansions.
That's a lot.
And 55 different versions of the original Ticket to Ride game. A lot of that is like different being translated into different languages and everything. Yeah. But even if you strip that away, in 20 years, there's been so much content made for this game that did they take some elements of the best versions of this game and introduce them back into the legacy version?
I wonder if it's like a, know, the base game, so it's over 12 games, so if your first game is going to be very like closer to your base version of the game, and then as you go on, you're bringing in potentially elements that call back or reminisce to different expansions that have happened, or does the initial game already start with a couple of expansion mechanics or things already built into it,
or do they just throw it out completely and start scratch? Like, do they start with just the base game and then like create some entirely new content? I don't know. I feel like for the fans, you'd probably want to include a couple of elements that speak to some of the favorite things that have been added along the way.
Yeah, that's like,
I mean,
we're going to be terrible at that because we
have only played one version.
Played the base game.
The original version. So, actually, if you are a fan of Ticket to Ride and you've played many different versions, all the expansions, what are some of your favorite components? Tell us, what's your favorite mechanic? What's your favorite thing they added to the game?
What's your favorite expansion? What's your favorite way of playing it?
Because then we can think about, how that is, compares.
How has it been? Has there been callbacks? Has there been borrowing? Has there been re-implementing? Because otherwise, we won't get the reference probably. We'll be like,
So we're intrigued to start playing this, and we're going to get straight into it and spend a lot of time with this game. So please let us know if there's anything in particular that you're interested to know in order to work out whether this is a game for you. One thing I'm also thinking about is like, how does it go with different player counts? Because, some legacy games, once you are not included in those first few games and you're like not part of the story, it's a bit hard to jump in, or it's sometimes difficult if one player can't make it to game night that night. So I'm intrigued to see
keep the story going, and it still kind of makes sense if you change the player numbers or even swap players out for other people.
Like one company's not there anymore, they've gone on strike or whatever, the Barons have taken them. What happens when one player isn't there? So we'll probably try and start it with as many people as we can, and then kind of evaluate what happens as naturally when people can't come over and play games
thought
with
of
us.
that. It's like you might then have the potential of permanently claiming some lines. Because usually in a game you would, at the end of the game, like you just sort of pack everything up and then that's
true.
it.
You take your trains off,
Yeah,
but maybe
so there
you
might
make
be
a
ways of
lasting
like,
impression.
yeah. So it's like, well, now this is my line and how long, which then, makes it really interesting going, then can you swap numbers of players? Does that just become a permanent sort of, well, that's just there? And then whenever they decide to rejoin, it's kind of like they went on a holiday and now they're back and competing. So yeah,
I don't know. I'm really excited. Actually, the more we've been talking about it, the more excited I get. And
Yeah.
also, how long have we been talking about this when we can't actually talk about it? So we'll probably end the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll be back with more board game content soon. Otherwise, bye for now.
Bye.